I'm mostly composing this video to show off what I felt was the highly delectable direction of 1952's Alarun, aka Unnatural. Let me read some of the context for this title. Released in 1952, obviously, West German production, directed by one Arthur Maria Rabenalt, based off of a 1911 novel, Alarun, by the German novelist Hans Heinz Ewers. Film stars Hildegard Neff and the legendary director of the silent era, one of the great artists in the cinematic medium, Erich von Stroheim. You may know him best as the butler in Sunset Boulevard. The film's about a scientist. He creates a woman. He creates his own Frankenstein's monster, who's this beautiful woman, actually. Although she's soulless, she's very blunt, brutal. She is said to have no morality at all. Comes across this way sometimes, although I suppose there's a question to be had here. I don't know. The film I mostly enjoyed visually, aesthetically, and I'm not sure how much of the narrative I felt. Let me put it like this: if this was a poorly staged film, it would not have held my interest. If this was a flatly staged film, it would not have held my interest. So it's hard for me to judge It felt like they were stretching this to be 80 minutes. It felt like at least one or two scenes were happening twice. It's just that they're building tension. Maybe they're just adapting scenes from the novel. I'm not certain. Let's read some context I read about this film. This is what, according to Wikipedia, and whomever they sourced, I can double check, but director Arthur Maria Rabenalt gave an interview in February 1989. He states how his involvement with the film came about. Carlton von Stappenhorst, and then there was an Austrian producer who made his money primarily from petrol stations and was a very stubborn, mindless peasant person. He had a contract with the Neff, and according to his idea, the Neff should be the Mandrake after the Sinner, 1951, and Erich von Stroheim, the genius crazy scientist. Apparently, even from its earliest stage, Alarun was stirring controversy. Just the announcement, Erich von Stroheim and Hildegard Neff in Alarun, led to a scandal. The church pulpits were spoken against the film, against the topic of artificial insemination. At that time, the church had a great influence on cultural politics. Stappenhorst was happy about the advertisement, but he also feared the power of the church. I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, by the way. Our task now was to dramatize the magically demonic element in the sex and horror material in a Catholic affirmative. It was really an ordeal. I think we wrote 16 versions of the script. Wow, and changed it until the shoot. Yeah, this is not a passionate screenplay. Now, Stappenhorst, who was an old professional, had once had a blackout, and Stroheim had the right to write his own dialogue. And Stroheim, who used to be a great director, now saw himself as a writer, and came every morning with 4 pages of new text, and from the well-behaved version that we had struggled to find again and again, made Stroheim a sharp horror film. If the audience didn't want horror, the war was still deep in everyone's bones, and the church didn't want sex. Yeah, I think this is all the quotation from Arthur Maria Rabenalt. At the time, the cast was considered to be all-star, even more so as Erich von Stroheim was respectfully known as one of the great silent film director, who had all but retired from acting by the time Alarun was to begin filming. Hildegard Neff had also achieved fame in both her native country, Germany, and international fame. Robert Craig would later write in his book, it came from 1957, that Neff's sultry, smoky sexuality was perfect for her role. It gives the film much of its palpable tension. Oh, we know Hildegard Neff from the 1963 Catherine of Russia picture directed by Umberto Lenzi. We discussed it on that program. At that time, I said that it's a film I like to watch when I was sick in bed, and I actually did do that at least on one occasion since that video's upload, which is fun. I mean, being sick is what it is, but watching Catherine of Russia, that's fun. I think the final piece of context I will read out is this. A number of films and other works are based on or inspired by the novel Alarun. The 1952 picture is the 5th adaptation of Ewers' book, the first being the 1918 silent version directed by Michael Curtiz, which has long been believed to no longer exist in studio archives. How tragic is that? Michael Curtiz's silent films are phenomenal. If you think of him as like a studio confectioner, No, he was an expressionist giant. He moved on from it later, although interestingly, you might see him as the pioneer of being of Hollywood confectionery in the 1930s, in some respects, but also of genre cinema in a way, as we know it, like the godfather of the Jacques Turner school of kind of lesser budgeted but really efficient and palpable genre filmmaking. We see films like Dr. X and The Walking Dead in the 30s as a prototype for pictures like Jacques Turner's Leopard Man in the 40s. You know, as a tangent somewhat. The second adaptation came shortly after, which, despite the title, has very little to no connection to the novel other than the Mandrake route. A third adaptation was then released a decade later with Alaroon, 1928, black and white version, though silent, obviously, yeah, with it being widely considered the best adaptation, which is directed by Henrik Galeen. In comparison to the film in 1928, C. Hooper Trask of the New York Times wrote, "If you like this sort of thing, you'll find it a superior product. Heinrich Galeen is directed with photographic imagination, no question about the picture has atmosphere." In 1995, a character named Professor Ten Brinken in Kim Newman's vampire novel The Bloody Red Baron is the mad scientist who creates Alaroon. A black and white miniseries of comic books was released between 1998 and 2004. Alaroon was illustrated by Tony Grease. The comic books deviate significantly from the novel, as the main character is cursed and must live as if she is Alaroon until she can find a way out from under the curse. That's heavy. Anyway, I think that will do. Have a great day, night, wherever you are. I hope you are well.